Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a horror film from the USA, English language, released in the year 2008, directed by Jeff Buhler, and this film is called Insanitarium. So Insanitarium is about this man. His sister has been admitted to this mental asylum because she's depressed, she's got suicidal tendencies, and he's not able to even talk to her. So he believes that something is going on inside this asylum, so he decides to commit himself by acting very psychotic. He starts carving his chest up with a knife, and he basically makes people believe he's gone insane. So he gets admitted to the same hospital, and inside he realizes that the truth is far more terrifying than he thought, and that the doctor who is in charge of all the patients is doing experiments that turns these patients into bloodthirsty, cannibalistic, zombie-like people, and that his sister could be the next on the list. So in order to try and break her out, he's going to get the help of a fellow patient, and whether or not they can save her in time or they fall prey to these evil sort of zombie-like people, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Insanitarium. After seeing the title to this film, I thought that this was going to be very silly. And ultimately, it is a very silly horror film, but for that reason, I enjoyed it as much as I did. I thought it was a very self-aware film. It wasn't trying to sidetrack you with unnecessary side plots. It wasn't trying to make you feel sorry for these people, because it doesn't need it. With the title of Insanitarium, I think it would have been a mistake to try and make this even remotely serious. So because it takes itself very lightly, it is a lot of fun and it's incredibly entertaining. If you are a fan of zombie films, then I would highly recommend you check this one out. As I said, you don't care about any of the characters. It's all about the carnage that the film delivers in spades. I mean, this is a very, very bloody and gory film. Yeah, some of it was very sickening, but it's done in a light-hearted way where you're not really disturbed, but you can't help but have a lot of fun watching it. And from start to finish, I enjoyed it immensely. I thought the movie, it prevents itself from falling into the usual trap where you've got films such as Autopsy, which is another movie that was supposed to be very light-hearted, but I thought it had serious elements in it that really weighed it down. Because you don't care about these characters, it's a mistake to try and give you any insight into the character's background, because it becomes boring. Because when you see a film like Insanitarium or Autopsy or all these other films that rely on over-the-top gore, you don't want to see character development. You want to see over-the-top kills and just absolute chaos. And that's exactly what Insanitarium does. And I think because it was so self-aware, it's as good as it was. If it wasn't, if it was trying to do something that it wasn't capable of, it would have been a bore, and it would have just fallen into the usual sort of B-grade horror films that really do pollute the airways these days. So the acting was decent. You know, the characters, because they don't have too much in them, they don't have to do too much with what they've got, but they're not annoying to the point where you want to see them killed. So the suspenseful moments work to a degree, in that although you don't really care if they live or die, because it's more about the situation as opposed to the actual characters, they're done to a point where you don't want to see them die either. So whether or not they die, it doesn't really matter, but there's that shred of decency about the character that allows it to create a certain level of scare factor. And so there are suspenseful moments. I thought the build-up was very good. It doesn't get straight into the blood and guts straight away. It does build a foundation. I thought that foundation was very well utilised, because it allows the carnage to happen towards the end. It is done at a very breakneck speed. It reminded me of such films as Wreck, in the fast-paced action. You don't really get a time to catch your breath. I love the fact that these cannibalistic zombie-like people attack each other. A lot of these other films, I constantly question as to why the zombies don't really eat each other, and it's only the living that they're going for. But in this movie, everybody goes at everybody. So around every corner, you're seeing someone being torn to pieces, and that's exactly what you want from a gorehound. I think this is a gorehound's wet dream, and so it really is worth the wait. The slow build-up, you get an insight into what's going on. You get an insight into what the Mad Doctor is all about, which I absolutely love the character of the Mad Doctor. He is played by Peter Stormare, who is a very underrated actor. I thought it was a throwback to good old-fashioned Frankenstein mad scientist, where he's trying to do this outrageous thing for the benefit of humanity, but it's so far out of the realms of sanity that you can't help but laugh, because he's very much a caricature villain. He's a throwback to the good old-fashioned villains of, the mad scientist doing something absolutely crazy, and although he has good intentions, it is backfiring in a very bad way. So his character was great. Peter Stormare looked like he had a lot of fun with it, and every other character is done to a point where it feels like it is taking itself very lightly. It knows it's a silly film, and it has a lot of fun, and it basks in its silliness to a very good level. I thought the violence was absolutely absolutely fantastic. It's very gory. A lot of it is practical, but some of it is CGI, which gives it a little bit more charm. And then right at the end, I thought it capped it off with a memorable finish in what was a B-grade movie that I would highly recommend to anyone out there if you're bored on a Friday night and you've got a group of friends at your house and you want to watch an over-the-top movie that is very fun and that does have its moments of suspense, but it all just combines to make just a very charming sort of horror film. And it's exactly what a B-grade horror film should be all about. No depth, just absolute carnage. A very fun sort of rock and roll horror film that I'm sure a lot of people out there will appreciate it. So overall, I'm going to give Insanitarium 3 stars, as a lot more than I was expecting to give it, and it just shows you how well this film was actually made. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching movies, and I'll see you later.